Not a new moment. Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our online reading sessions. So we're reading from the book The Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. So we'll begin our session by chanting the invoking the prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gananchana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yen Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Vikasa Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvanta Charani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kam Karti Vachalam Muni Aiti Kirimat Kripadanam Vande Shri Vindaram Paramaham Shri Chaitanya Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Vagisha Yasya Vadani Lakshmi Yasya Pakshasya Yasyaste Hridaya Samvitam Nasya Mama Bhajet Yontar Pravisha Mamacha Mam Prasuttam Sanjeevritya Kilashut Dhasradhamam Nyamcha Hasta Jarna Shramanatva Gadhi Pranamo Bhavati Purushaya Tubhyam Nijguru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichitu Parikritrigi Ananda Samsara Kupahatva Bhajan Skabdo Manjian Samsabishvo Bhuya Divkaso Bhakti Bhoya Hare Krishna. Am I audible to devotees? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we will start reading. We are reading from chapter 7 in the book. It's Not a New Moment. Page number 328. Okay. We didn't read. We are reading from this chapter, this particular place. Yes, we are here. Where is it? Oh, yes. This Krishna consciousness movement is not a new introduction of the mental speculators. Actually, this movement was started by Krishna himself in the Battle of Kurukshetra. At least 5,000 years ago, the movement was presented by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. From this Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that this system of consciousness was spoken by him long before he imparted to the sun god Vivaswan. That calculation goes to show that before the repetition of the Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it was once before explained at least 40 million years ago. So this movement is not at all new. It is coming down from disciplic succession. And in India, from all great leaders of the Vedic society like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and lately, about 480 years ago, Lord Chaitanya. The principle is still being followed today. Quote reference 1255 from Conversation, 22nd December 1968. Krishna consciousness philosophy is as old as 120 million years at the least. Wow. Reference 1256, letter 2nd of November 1969. Indeed, the history of this movement is fathomless. Although in one sense it was started 500 years ago, it has existed since time immemorial. The Bhakti Yoga system is not newly introduced, or even 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna recommended this Bhakti Yoga as the topmost yoga. This system of Bhakti Yoga has been existing from time immemorial. It is now continuing in this Krishna consciousness moment. Reference 1257, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 71, purport. The same thing which was practiced many, many hundreds and thousands of years ago is being practiced today. And the same result is being achieved. Reference 1258, Conversation, 10 April 1972. The Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement, as people sometimes mistakenly think. The Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life. And the holy name is chanted in all the higher planetary systems, including Brahmaloka and Chandraloka, not to speak of Gandharvaloka and Apsaroloka. The Sankirtan movement that was started in this world 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore not a new movement. 1259 reference, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Text 71, purport. Srila Prabhupada explained this in more detail. There are 14 manus in one day of Brahma. A manvantara, the lifespan of a one manu, is given as 71 multiplied by 4,320,000 years. After one such manu passes on, another manu begins his lifespan. In this way, the life cycle of the universe is going on. As one manu follows another, the cult of Krishna consciousness is being imparted as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivatsate Yogam Proktavan Ahamavyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshvakave Bhavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, quote, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Unquote. Vivaswan, the sun god, imparted Bhagavad Gita to one Manu, and this Manu imparted to his son, who imparted it to yet other Manu. In this way, the propagation of Krishna consciousness is never stopped. No one should think that this Krishna consciousness is a new movement. As confirmed by Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very, very old movement, for it has been passing down from one Manu to another. Reference 1260, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, text, chapter 21, text 31, purport. 1261 reference. See also references to Sanatana Dharma. Is there any other reference for it? It's given as see also re-establishing Sanatana Dharma, not restricted to Hindus, volume 3, page 76. It's given in the book. The very fact of its antiquity is an important indicator of its genuineness. This is very. This Krishna consciousness movement is authorized because even taking it for granted that it has begun from Krishna, then it is at least 5,000 years old. 1262 reference. Conversation 29 July 1968. The important point is not simply that the Krishna consciousness movement is old, but that its message has remained unchanged over eons. This movement is very, very old and standard. It is never changed. As soon as you change it, then the potency of the movement is lost. Reference 1263, conversation 8 October 1975. When Krishna taught 5,000 years ago in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, we are broadcasting the same message. Sorry, what Krishna taught 5,000 years ago in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, we are broadcasting the same message. We have not manufactured anything new. That is not dharma. Dharma cannot be manufactured. Dharman tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Text 19. Just like law cannot be manufactured. If you manufacture some law at your home, that will not be accepted. Maybe some people, your friends, your relatives, or your family members may accept, but that cannot be accepted by all as law. But the law given by the government must be accepted by everyone. Similarly, dharma means the law given by God. That is dharma. Not that I manufacture this dharma, you manufacture another dharma, you manufacture another. That may be partially good, but that it is not dharma. Dharma is dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Text 19. That is the definition. That is the definition. Just like law is made by the government makes the law, quote, keep your car to the right, unquote. That has to be accepted by everyone. You cannot say, quote, why not the left? In India, we keep our car on the left side. Why not here? Unquote. No, then it will be unlawful. Similarly, Krishna says, quote, this is dharma, unquote. Not that yata mat tato pat, whatever you manufacture, that is dharma. No, that is rasket. This is dharma. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 66. Only one. Reference 1264, lecture 3rd, August 1975. That it is an old movement does not mean that it is stale, dull, or worn out. Rather, just as Krishna is always young despite being the oldest person. Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha. 1265 reference, Sri Brahma Samhita 533 text. So also, quote, this movement is very, very old, but it appears very fresh because it is spiritual. It is ever fresh, unquote. 1266. Lecture, 15 February 1971. Okay. We're moving to another chapter. Okay. Paramatmananda Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, give me 5 minutes. I am outside going to home. Just
Okay,
give me
okay. I'll
5
request some other devotees to read. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Saurabh ji, you can read.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Chapter,
Krishna.
Chapter 8 Educational Movement. This Krishna consciousness movement is specifically meant to teach every soul his original spiritual position. Reference 1267. The Science of Self-Realization, Chapter 1. Seeing the conditioned souls ignorant of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada wanted to help them. Knowing that ignorance is the cause of our bondage and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. Reference 1268, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, 38 verse. Purport. Srila Prabhupada began his work in the West with the notion that people are suffering due to want of knowledge. He claimed that spiritual knowledge was the only thing that could alleviate their suffering. It was for this reason that he tirelessly labored to translate ancient Vedic texts and to personally teach how to live a life of spiritual fervor. He felt deeply the suffering of others and wanted to help them rise beyond such suffering. Reference 1269 Steve J. Rawson, From Nothingness to Personhood.
Pages
Pages
38, 39.
39. Indeed, among the 7 founding principles given by Srila Prabhupada for ISKCON, 5 are based on education. Reference 1270.
Okay,
C.
one second. Let me see the book. See the book. Okay. See page number 269. What is given in the book? Yes. This one. Yeah, continue.
Okay. By casting Krishna consciousness as an educational movement, Srila Prabhupada distinguished it from sentimental religion. Reference 1271. Conversation 14 July 1976. And contrasted it with what he termed purposeless education. Reference 1272, lecture 25th September 1972. Education in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental and is the best of all forms of education. Material education aims at increasing the activities of material sense gratification. Reference 1273. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 8, 245 verse. Mostly, at the present moment, education means to give facilities for sense gratification. From the beginning, boys and girls in the school and colleges are given all liberty for sex. This is not education. Education means to lead the people gradually to Krishna consciousness. Reference 1274. Lecture 25th September 1972. He specified that Krishna consciousness is an educational movement to give enlightenment to the people at large to understand the values of life. Reference 1275. Conversation 27th February 1973. To educate people in the essential principle of spiritual life. Reference 1276. Perfect question, perfect answer, chapter 2. We are under the clutches of material nature's law. In this law, by the evolutionary process, we have come to this human form of life. And if we do not utilize it properly, then we are missing the chance. So, our Krishna consciousness movement is reminding the whole human society that don't lose this chance of getting a human body. You must properly utilize it. Reference 1277. Lecture 20th October 1975. This Krishna consciousness movement is only to remind people that please do not waste your time, valuable time, life. Utilize it. This is the opportunity to make a solution for all the problems of life. Reference 1278. Lecture 25th July 1971. Therefore, we are trying our bit to educate them that the aim of life, especially in the human form of life, is different from the bodily necessities of life eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Reference 1279. Conversation 26th October 1973. The attempt of the Krishna consciousness movement is to educate people to come to the responsibility of human life. Reference 1280. A bit
That is the same.
the same
Yeah. Previously, this was the reference conversation. So in the same conversation.
because men are living like cats and dogs, spoiling the duration of their human lives by actually preparing to transmigrate again to the degraded species among the 84 lakh forms of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is anxious to serve human society by teaching people to perform devotional service, which can save a human being from being degraded again to animal life. Reference 1281 Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 6th Chapter, verse 1. Purport. Indeed, it was necessary to create this Krishna consciousness movement because the human form of life is meant for advanced education. But people are being educated to live like animals, and we want to correct this mistake. Reference 1282. Conversation 2nd October 1975. This education is meant for conquering death. After giving up this body, one who is fully Krishna conscious does not accept another material body but returns home back to Godhead. Everyone should try to attain this perfection. Unfortunately, instead of doing so, people are absorbed in the thoughts of society, friendship, love, and relatives. This Krishna consciousness movement, however, is educating people throughout the world and informing them how to conquer death. Harim vina na mritim taranti. One cannot conquer death without taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Reference 1283. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, verse 22nd. Purport. The specific knowledge to be imparted. This Krishna consciousness movement is trying to educate people to give up this bodily concept of life. This is the sum and substance of this movement. And unless we understand that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, my aim of life is missing, we remain cats and dogs. Reference 1284. Lecture 17th October 1975. The basic principle of our Krishna consciousness movement. Try to understand whether you are this body or something beyond this body. Reference 1285. Lecture 1st October 1975. Everything in the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to remind people about these vital topics so that they may. Can you?
No, what happened? Yeah. Okay.
So that they may become aware of the supreme law and be liberated from material conditions. Why are these books here? Just to remind you to become lawful. But if you do not take advantage, then you are misusing your life. This preaching work, this publication of books, literature, magazines, the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is to remind you how we are being controlled, who is the supreme controller, how your life can be successful, how you can be relieved from this controlled life, and how you can get a life of freedom. This is the movement. This Krishna consciousness movement is for that purpose. Reference 1286, lecture 12th July 1969. Reminding people will make them happy. We have formed this international society for Krishna consciousness in order to teach people what they have forgotten. In this material world, we have forgotten the service of Radha Krishna. Therefore, we have become servants of Maya, the senses. Therefore, in this society, we are saying, you are serving your senses. Now just turn your service to Radha and Krishna, and you will be happy. Reference 1287. The Path of Perfection, Chapter 8. This knowledge is a great science. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should know the factual position of living entities. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. Reference 1288. Bhagavad Gita Preface. It is offered to all classes of people. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started to give philosophers, scientists, and people in general the proper knowledge about the destiny of life. Everyone should take advantage of this movement and learn the real goal of life. Reference 1289. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, Verse 23, purport. The ultimate knowledge that this movement offers is information about God and His kingdom, how to think of Him constantly, and how to see Him and love Him. This movement is giving human society information about the kingdom of God. Reference 1290. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Verse number 10, purport. This Krishna consciousness movement is for educating people how to think of God constantly. Reference 1291, Lecture 23rd February 1975. Next. This Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to teach people how to see God, how to see Krishna. Reference 1292. Lecture 27th June 1971. In brief, this Krishna consciousness movement is for understanding Krishna. Reference 1293. Yeah. Lecture 29th August 1971. Culture goes with education. Everyone has dormant love for Krishna, and by culture and education, that has to be awakened. That is the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement. Reference 1294. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 29th chapter, 50th verse, purport. This is a cultural and an educational movement to understand what we are, what is God, and what is our relationship, and how to act upon it. Reference 1295, letter 20th August 1975.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. I'll request some other devotees to read. Okay. Thank you very much for your reading. Okay. What is this there? Let's kind of see. Educating ignorant, foolish, and sinful. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, Paramatmananda Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can start reading.
Educating the ignorant, foolish, and sinful. Many quotes of Srila Prabhupada concern the role of the Krishna consciousness movement in educating people who are grossly foolish and sinful. A foolish person does not know that he is completely under the bondage of material nature and that after death material nature will impose upon him a certain type of body which he will have to accept. He does not know that although in his present body he may be a very important man, he may next get the body of an animal or tree because of his ignorant activities in the modes of material nature. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to give the true light of spiritual existence to all living entities. Reference 1296. Srimad Bhagavatam 8th Canto 16th Chapter Text number 19 Purport. At the time of death, according to his mental condition, the living being is carried by the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego, to another gross body. When higher authorities have decided what kind of gross body the living entity will have, he is forced to enter such a body, and thus he automatically gives up his previous body. Dull-minded persons who do not have the intelligence to understand this process of transmigration take for granted that when the gross body is finished, one's life is finished forever. Such persons have no brains with which to understand the process of transmigration. The Hare Krishna movement is trying to elevate such foolish persons by enlightening their intelligence so that they will take advantage of the human body. Reference 1297 Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto 1st Chapter Text number 40 Purport. This was Srila Prabhupada's repeated request to take advantage of the human body. We are preaching Ut- Uttis Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan
No, no, it's not Uttishtata, it is Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibhodata.
Katha Upanishad first
Kathopanishad.
Katha
Katha. It's not Katha, it's Katha. T stop is
Katha
there. So Katha. Kathopanishad.
Katha 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 Upanishad first canto third chapter text number 14. Quote, now we are in the human form of life. You can understand your position. Unquote. That is our repeated request. Repeated request. Don't miss this opportunity. Reference number 1298. Conversation regarding philosophy of Carl Jung. The attempt to educate the Murhas is the essence of this movement. These press reporters asked me, quote, what is the purpose of your movement? Unquote. So I said, quote, to educate the Murhas, that's all. Unquote. This is the sum and substance of this Krishna consciousness movement. That we are trying to educate the Murhas. Reference number 1299. It is an lecture 1st January 1976. It is an educational movement to enlighten the people from gross ignorance to the highest enlightenment of spiritual understanding. Reference 1300. Conversation 14 July 1976. This education is intrinsically linked with the chanting of Hare Krishna. In this age, the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the only method by which to cleanse the sinful mind. When the mind is completely cleansed of all sinful reactions, one can then understand his duty in the human form of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to educate sinful men so that they may become pious simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Reference 1301. Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 9th Chapter, text number 39, purport. Deeming that, quote, people are kept in darkness in the name of so-called university education, unquote. Reference 1302. Satswarup Das Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, Chapter 52, I have done my part. Srila Prabhupada offered the alternative. People are being educated like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. So, how they can expect any real happiness? That is not possible. The general public may naturally be like cats, dogs, and hogs because they have insufficient education. Not that the general mass of people is expected to be highly educated. But if an arrangement is made to give them chance of hearing the Hare Krishna mantra, then they will become perfect men. That should be the policy of the Krishna consciousness movement. Reference 1303. Lecture 14 January 1972. Ultimately, this educational movement not only, quote, enlightens people from gross ignorance, unquote, but is meant to bring them to the, quote, highest enlightenment of spiritual understanding, unquote. Reference number 1304. Conversation 14 July 1976. Reference 1305. See also Perspective on Education.
Volume 2, page 199. That is what is given in the book.
Benefiting the world with knowledge of Gita and Bhagavatam. Both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Reference 1306. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 3rd Chapter, text number 43. Being the widest propagator of the truths of Bhagavad Gita, since Lord Krishna himself spoke it, Srila Prabhupada considered that, quote, Bhagavad Gita is the prime scripture for the modern world, unquote. Reference 1307. Rajavidya, Chapter 1. Having, quote, the most scientific knowledge of God, unquote. 1308. Conversation, 11 April 1977. And, quote, the gist idea of all Vedic culture, unquote. Reference 1309. Conversation, 7 March 1974. Hence, quote, our propaganda is to establish that gist idea of Bhagavad Gita, unquote. Reference 1310. Same as previous reference.
Yeah. Conversation 7th March
Conversation
1974.
7 March 1974. This is in accord with the second of the 7 key purposes of the Krishna consciousness movement, quote, to propagate a propagate a consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, unquote. Consequently, Srila Prabhupada instructed his disciple to, quote, actually understand Bhagavad Gita and distribute the knowledge, unquote. Reference 1311. Conversation 5 April 1977. 77. And indeed, shortly after being first published, Bhagavad Gita as it is became and continues to be by far the largest selling edition of the Gita in English, and subsequently in all major non-Indian languages. Reference 1312. Referring to innumerable translations and commentaries, one author wrote, quote, since 1968, however, one version has risen head and shoulders above all the other in respect of the numbers sold or otherwise distributed, unquote. Eric J. Sharp, The Universal Gita, Open Court Publishing Company, 1985, page 141.
Did you read this? No, always
1300.
yes.
The whole world requires to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is. Reference 1313.
Okay, I should.
Later, 25 July 1972. And the whole Krishna consciousness movement is based on this distribution of knowledge. This is the sum and substance of our Krishna consciousness movement. We are simply requesting human society to follow in the footsteps of the teacher of Bhagavad Gita. Follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and your life will be successful.
Oh, Krishna. Narayana. Mm. Yes.
That is the summary of the Krishna consciousness movement. Reference number 1314. Srimad Bhagavatam 8th Canto, 1st chapter, text number 16, purport. Our Krishna consciousness movement is trying its best to make people to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any nonsensical interpretation. This is our mission.
Nonsensical. Prabhu, it's nonsensical,
Nonsense,
not
yes,
nonsensical.
nonsensical interpretation. This is our mission. Reference 1315. Lecture 28 September 1973. If you want good society, good management, people happy in this life and next, then you have to adopt the principles given by Sri Krishna himself in in the Bhagavad Gita, and we are preaching the cult of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. Reference 1316. Conversation 18 April 1974. Stating that, quote, we are trying our little efforts how to establish the truth described in the Bhagavad Gita, unquote. Reference 1317. Lecture 3rd April 1974. Srila Prabhupada geared his movement to deliver people from illusion by teaching the central point of Bhagavad Gita. People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this and he demands it. One has to understand the central point of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point. And because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from the Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. Reference 1318. Bhagavad Gita preface.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay, Aditya ji, you can continue to read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Far more than had previous Gaudiya Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada stressed the Bhagavad Gita's teachings of reincarnation and detachment from the world, a message that the previous Acharyas had largely expected their audience to accept as a given. He certified that Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD of spiritual knowledge. Reference lecture 23rd November 1968, which was just his audience needed, and preaching of which would be foundational to the global dissemination of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gifts. The promulgation of the Bhagavad Gita's knowledge on a worldwide scale will establish a foundation upon which the edifice of the science of love of God will be constructed. This edifice will be the repository of the sublime treasure of devotional service as taught by Lord Chaitanya in Kali Yuga, and it will serve as a shining monument to the transcendental endeavors of the Lord's pure devotees. Reference Renunciation Through Wisdom, Chapter 5. The key to understanding Bhagavad Gita is accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our propagation is to turn people's minds to the actual existence of God. And we want to preach that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to understand Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is the first and foremost scripture. Reference to lecture 19th January 1968. According to the Vedic sources of all authorities, Krishna is the greatest and most perfect. Matta Paratram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. Bhagavad Gita 7.7. Not only does Krishna proclaim himself to be the highest authority, but this is also accepted by great sages and scholars of Bhagavad Gita. If we do not accept Krishna as authority and take his words as they are, we cannot derive any benefit from Bhagavad Gita. It is not dogmatic, it is a fact. If we study scrutinizingly what Krishna says, we will find that it is right. Even scholars like Shankaracharya, who have different opinions from the personality of Godhead, admit that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Rajavidya, chapter 5. Particularly among Indians, Srila Prabhupada stressed that Bhagavad Gita establishes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and exclusive devotion to him as the topmost spiritual path and the only true aim of life. See discussion of Indians' misrepresentation of Bhagavad Gita in dissatisfaction with Indians. However, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is meant for one and all, and the Krishna consciousness movement is seriously engaged in the distribution of that knowledge for the benefit of the entire human society. Bhagavad Gita is not a book on Bhakti Yoga for an individual person only. No, it is meant for the whole mass of people, the whole human society, the leader of the human society, or the leader of the family. Everyone should understand Bhagavad Gita very nicely and distribute the knowledge to his subordinates. The father should know the purport of Bhagavad Gita and distribute the knowledge to his sons, daughters, family members. Similarly, the king or the president must also know Bhagavad Gita, just like Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Bhagavad Gita 4.1. It is not a subject matter that I read it privately and keep it private. It is meant for distribution to the human society. This Krishna consciousness movement is seriously meaning this, that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita must be spread all over the world as it is, not with malinterpretation. So that is being done in the Krishna consciousness movement for the benefit of all citizens. Reference lecture 7th February 1974. The actual unadulterated message of Bhagavad Gita can offer great benefit to the world. The Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita preface. If one adopts the principles enunciated in Bhagavad Gita, he can make his life perfect and make a permanent solution to all the problems of life. This is the sum and substance of the entire Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, Krishna. Yes.
Reference to not this one, Prabhu, previous one, 1326.
Okay. Okay.
Bhagavad Gita introduction. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
I was just thinking that you can finish this particular thing, this particular whole thing. Rest we
Yes.
can start later. Yeah, these two quotes you can finish. You can just finish this quote at least.
Yes, Prabhu. Our mission is to present Bhagavad Gita as it is. Even now, in this distorted condition of the world, if we accept Bhagavad Gita as it is, we will be benefited. There is no doubt about it. Therefore, our appeal is that throughout the whole world, people should come, try to understand Bhagavad Gita, and set up examples and do the needful. Reference to lecture 1st October 1975.
Okay, Prabhu.
Dandavat
Stop
Pranam.
here. Yes, Prabhu. It is exactly 8:15, so we will start here. Let me see this customer is clear the rest of Bhagavad Gita. So let us stop here. If unless and until devotees have something to ask, something to say, we will stop here. Devotees and Mataji's want to ask something. They can ask. If they want to say something, they can say. Okay, there is nothing to ask or say. Fine. We'll stop here. Meet tomorrow. Same time. Until then, Hare Krishna. जगत श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। इस वनस भक्ति विकास स्वामी महाराज की जय। बोलिए
Thank
कृष्ण श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
you.